fellas, I'm just kidding. So, so, okay, so, today we're gonna try something a little different. This is something I wanted to try for a while now, and finally I get the chance to actually start it off. I'm going to try to do this a bit of a podcasty situation to try to mix things up a little bit, because your girl here don't have any stories coming up soon. I'm starting to run dry. I don't have an interesting life, so I don't have interesting stories to tell. So I figured I'd mix it up and have friends or family or whoever to tell stories. So I have a list here of different subjects I want to talk about with my friend Snack.
Hi.
And today's subject is that one employee that you had to deal with while working. Alright, let me start real quick. I did have that one customer. I was working at Waffle House. He was, I guess, the cook, and I guess if there's no manager there, then the cook has the say-so. But I don't know what he was, because he wasn't officially a cook, he just knew how to cook. He was annoying, because he had this mentality that he was the boss, and he would treat everybody like crap, and it was like left and right, day and night half the time. One day he'd be fine, but the other day he'd be loud, obnoxious, always yelling, and definitely bossing people around. So like one day I was asked to come in, and so I was like, sure, why not? But then like he was treating me like crap the entire day. It's like, you asked me to come in. He's like, you keep that up, I'll send you home. I was like, alright, go ahead. There's only 2 other people here.
I hate it. I hate that. That's so annoying.
I can't
people
stand
acting like
when
managers
people
when they're not.
act your pay grade.
You don't get paid to boss me around, so why are you doing the extra work?
I had that so much. There's this other dude who got fired, unfortunately, who had that same mentality, and that's the kind of mentality where he thinks that security officers can be policemen. It's
That'll
crazy.
get you killed, boy. You will die.
Try if you want to. But like, he used to be a security officer, so he claims. He's also the kind of guy who makes up stuff. So my boyfriend and I worked at the same security place, and I told this guy, hey, we used to work there. He's like, oh, you did? I used to be there. I was a manager. I'm like, oh, you were? I'm sitting here thinking, when was the last time I saw this guy? That's because he was never there. Because when my boyfriend showed up and I told him, he was like, I've been there for 6 years. I've never seen this dude.
Oh, wow. Just a liar.
This no chin having boy.
No chin.
He didn't have a chin.
Damn. What a life. So, my story, I worked at a grocery store. I mean, I still do. I work at a different grocery store now. I've been in customer service for a long time. I've been around the ringer. And I started at this place as a cashier, and then I was there for about 3 months, and then they asked me if I wanted to work at the coffee bar, the Starbucks that was in the building. They had like a little miniature version of a Starbucks at the front doors, right? And I was like, yeah, sure. And worked over there for like, I don't know, 1 year and 8 months, I think. Almost 2 years. And they ended up starting to cut hours because we had too many workers and they were getting spread thin on labor. And so I was only getting like 16, 20 hours a week. And I was going to college at the time, and I was also paying rent, or splitting the rent with my grandparents. And so, like, you know, on just barely over minimum wage, that just doesn't cut it. Gotta pay for the car, you gotta pay for your half of the rent, you gotta pay for school and supplies and all that other stuff, because I didn't take out a loan or anything. I was paying for it out of pocket.
Dang.
And, so I went to the store manager and I was like, hey, I keep hearing that the meat department is really low staffed and they need help and I need more hours, so I'd like to transfer over there. And he said, oh, yeah, okay. Well, you need to talk to your department manager first. And I was like, yeah, okay. Went to department manager and talked to her. I was like, hey, I would like to transfer departments. I'm not getting enough hours. I heard that the meat market needs some help, especially with the holidays coming up, because that's the busiest department in the store. And she goes, oh, well, you're gonna have to talk to the store manager about that first, right?
Okay.
And so I was like, okay. Went back to the store manager, and he's like, yeah, you gotta talk to your department manager. I'm like, I did. And he goes, oh, well, you have to talk to their department manager too. And I was like, okay. So I went to the meat department manager, and I was like, hey, this is the situation. And he said, oh, well, you gotta get with the store manager and then get with your department manager about that. And I'm like, okay, well,
I guess nobody wants to just come together and talk about it.
Yeah, went back to the store department manager, was like, I talked to both of them, and they both told me to talk to you, so I'm talking to you. I really want to transfer. I need hours. I'm not making enough money, and they need help. They're short-staffed. And so finally, they relented. They were giving me the runaround because they didn't want to transfer me for whatever reason, I guess.
Of course.
And so they relented, though, and I ended up getting transferred to the meat department, and I had a blast. It was fun. I enjoyed it. A lot of people really, iffy about working with meat and stuff. Not me. I don't have a problem with it. I'm like, I don't care.
Alright.
It was fun. There wasn't a lot of people back there. It wasn't crowded all the time. And, the butchers were really nice and a lot of fun to work with. They were all just a bunch of goofballs and jokers, and it was fun. And I had a blast. I was there for about 4 months. And then Christmas was coming up, and it was 2 weeks before Christmas, and the store manager comes in, and he's like, hey, I wanted to talk to you. They're going to need some help at the coffee bar. And, because the holidays are coming up, it's going to be really busy. And I know that the busiest department in the store is the meat department, and they still don't have a lot of people working up there. At the time, we had just hired a new guy that we were training, and it was me and 2 other people aside from that new guy. Dang. So there were only 4 people to work the counter. You got an opening shift, a mid shift, and a close shift, and then 1 extra person that is in training that is going to be the backup, right? Or, the person they rotate out with other people so that everyone can get their days off.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, so he goes, they're going to need help up there. Will you go up there for 1 week? Just 1 week, and then you can come back. And I was like, yeah, I mean, if they need my help, yeah, I'll go over there and do it just for a week. And so I got transferred back to the coffee bar, and it was supposed to be for a week. And I met the new person they hired, or one of them. And, oh boy. Oh boy, was she a card. She was either the same age or 1 year younger than me at the time. And so she was 19, 18, and this was her first job. And it was a part-time job. And I was told about her in advance by a coworker of mine who's cool that I went to school with, and she's like, look, this girl, I went on my lunch break, because we all get an hour lunch break, but in the middle of the shift, we have to do it. It's not an option. And she goes, I went on my lunch break, and I had to leave her up here like we do every time we go on a lunch break, because only 2 people work the coffee bar at a time. And she had a meltdown. She curled up behind the counter and started crying, and a line built up, and everybody was waiting to be ordered, to have their order taken and to be waited on. And she was just curled up behind the counter crying, having a panic attack. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. First off, that's not the way you want to hear about the new employee starting off, because I get that some people have a ton of anxiety, especially when it comes to social interactions and stuff. I was the same way. I still have problems talking to people. They make me anxious, they make me nervous. But when you have a job to do, and your coworker is relying on you, you don't have time to just break down like that.
I
And
don't.
if you have to step away, then get someone to step in for you. You know, let someone know what's going on. It's just, you know, it was a letdown. She was letting us down.
It sounds
If
like
you can't handle it, you got to do something else.
she was. There's so many variables that could come into having that kind of situation. I know my sister, at the time, is very anxious, and I was honestly worried about how they'd take it as far as getting a job, but they're doing pretty well. So, I mean, I don't know how that kind of stuff works.
Well, it's not like they threw her in there the first day and then just left her alone for an hour. You know, usually with the new hires, they have you in there with the 2 other people. Like, you know, you're with someone constantly when you're still training. So it was just like one of the first times after her training that she had to be left alone. And she couldn't handle it. But this is just the beginning.
Oh boy.
So I start working there, and I'm going to be closing every night that I work. And that's like the most work you can do with the coffee bar, because you have to literally clean everything so that when they come in the morning, all they have to do is turn on the machine and be ready to go. So you're doing all the work. And so I'd come in, you know, we met each other and she seemed nice, and then we got to working together, and this girl could not stop talking. She could not stop talking. She would just be talking, and I would just be nodding my head. And she would just talk the whole time and not stop. She would keep talking even after a customer showed up and she was in the middle of taking her order. She would still be talking to me.
Wow. Jeez.
Yeah, saying that she was working is a stretch, because occasionally she would do something, but most of the time she would avoid doing anything, and then I'd step in and start doing it. I can't tell you how frustrated I was, because it was this constant cycle of her standing in the corner talking to me, or pointlessly washing dishes, or pretending to wash dishes while she talked to me having to take the order and make the drink, and then getting backed up because I'm too slow, because I can only work like at top 3 people's orders at a time. And she wouldn't step in and help at any point. She didn't want to take orders, and she didn't want to make drinks. She would, on very rare occasions, she would, but a majority of the time she was just standing back and talking and doing other things, and just avoiding doing any of the actual coffee work. Have
you ever asked her to like come up and help you?
Yeah, I'd be like, hey, can you please like take that order? And she'd be like, oh, I'm washing the dishes.
Okay.
It's like, okay, that's not a priority. Can you please just take an order? And then she'd like relent and go and do it finally. But yeah, no, this was a thing. It was frustrating. There were only a few times when I was actually listening to what she was saying, because I didn't care.
Tell her how it is.
Yeah. It was just like, man, I just want to work and you're not helping me, and I'm frustrated, whatever. I'll just pretend I get what you're talking about. No, she was around my age, and she would tell me how she lives with her mom. This is her first job. You know, she's never worked before. And she would talk about how she goes to garage sales and stores and stuff and collect baby stuff. You know, baby clothes. She told me she had managed to get her hands on like a bassinet and a stroller, and she told me, she goes, I have a whole drawer at home that's just filled with baby clothes. And I'm like, okay, this seems a little odd, but you know, whatever.
Own, I guess.
Yeah, and she told me, I said, why do you collect this stuff? And she was like, I want a baby. I want to have a baby. And then I'm like, okay. You know, in my head, I'm like, okay. You have a panic attack behind the coffee bar. You can't handle talking to anyone or you can't do your job and do it good. And anytime I try to go on a lunch break, you start crying and beg me not to leave you alone for an hour.
Jesus.
And you want a baby, and you live with your mom, and this is your first job? Work at a coffee bar. For like 14 hours a week. I want a baby.
I'm starting to think that she's a little sheltered. I mean, I lived a sheltered life myself.
I mean, yeah, probably. So I didn't say any of this. I tried to approach it cautiously. I was like, okay, well, have you talked to whoever you're with right now, boyfriend, fiance, husband, whatever the situation is? I was like, have you talked to them about it? Are they down with it? And she'd be like, oh, I don't have a boyfriend, and I don't want one. I just want a baby. And that was at the point where I was like, oh.
I mean, adoptions is a thing, but I think they might need to get some form of counseling or talking to someone.
Yeah, so first of all, you have way too much anxiety. Second, you don't have a job. This isn't a job. This isn't a career. You don't have anything. You live with your mom. In my head, I was like, I feel bad for future child and mother, because that's who will end up raising it. Is your mom. And yeah, that was at the point where I was like, this chick is insane. She is crazy. And it got worse.
Oh,
so
geez.
She was always there when I arrived, and she always left before me. I never really thought about it before until this happened, but I came in one day, and it was just kind of this thing where she'd be like, oh my gosh, I just realized something, and then I have this kind of like, oh boy, what is it today? It can't be anything that exciting. I wonder if she found like some kind of baby toy or something that she's been looking for. And she goes, I just realized that we have the exact same license plate except for like a couple of letters.
Okay.
I was just like, I get that you could probably see me pull up, and you could probably see me get out of my vehicle and watch me walk up through the parking lot, but if you're working at the coffee bar, how do you have time to just sit there that long and watch me approach the store from my car and then have the gall to go outside and look at my license plate? So I'm freaked out now. I'm like, oh, wow, that's really something. I didn't notice that either. And I'm just like, okay, this chick's crazy. She's crazy, and I can't stand to work with her because I'm the only one doing my job. She's just here talking my ear off about high school and wanting to have a kid.
I don't think she's experienced life outside that house. It doesn't sound like that she's...
I don't know.
It doesn't sound like she has, like, hey, I went to the beach the other day and...
Yeah, I don't know. Hanging out with her friends and stuff, outside of work, whatever. So, the weekends, and I'm like, oh god, finally. I'm so sick of closing every night, doing all the work around here, literally all of the work, because the one person who is here who's supposed to help me isn't helping me, and is totally insane, and I'm scared. It's finally over. I can just go back to the meat department, oh my god, and help them with Christmas, because they're going to get slogged. They're going to get slaughtered back there. And I go back, and one of the butchers is like, hey, what are you doing up here? And I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, you're supposed to be up there for one more week, aren't you?
No.
And I'm just like, no, I wasn't supposed to be, and I look at the schedule, and sure enough, I'm scheduled for the coffee bar, and I'm like, So I go to Larry, and I'm like, hey, Larry, I thought I was supposed to only work up there for 1 week. He goes, yeah, I know, but, like, they still need help up there.
So that's your problem.
I didn't mention this before, but there was a day during that first week I came in, and I mentioned that the coffee bar needs 2 people to run it, right? It's a tiny, tiny coffee bar. It's a very small Starbucks. It can really only fit 2 or 3 people in it. I came in one day, and there were 5 people working all at once for like 2 hours.
Jeez.
5 people. So I was starting to think that all of that crap he said about them needing help was bull. And he just didn't want to pay me for 40 hours a week.
Oh,
and
no.
me get full-time benefits and stuff. So now I'm like, okay. Well, I'm gonna put in my 2 weeks now, and so I put in my 2 weeks. I'm like, I'm not working at the coffee bar. I am not hanging around this crazy chick. I'm not dealing with this. I'm not gonna be your everyday closer, and I'm not gonna wait around for her to find out more of my personal information if she really wants to see it. I'm like, no, I'm getting out of here as soon as possible.
Like, hey,
so I put in my 2 weeks. I put an application for Walmart, and then that was that. After all of the working at the Starbucks and being pissed off, I finally got out and went somewhere else. So yeah, that was my Albertson story. That was my story about the crazy lady at the bar.
So you didn't want to go back to the meat market? They can't force you.
Yeah, they can.
Oh, that sucks.
I mean, they can't, like, force you. But they can be like, I mean, like, we really need help in this other department. I really can't do that. I'm sorry. You know, like, that kind of stuff. If I wanted to, I could just walk up to the meat market and, like, just start working over there. But then they'd have a valid reason to fire me, and then I wouldn't get unemployment. So...
Oh. Well,
because I'd be neglecting my responsibilities, right?
That sucks. Honestly, I thought it was gonna get really bad. I seriously thought you were gonna say that because she buys a bunch of baby stuff, that she was one of the people who, like, went home dressed as a baby and everything.
Oh. No. She just wanted a baby. It's still really wild to me that she's out there. There's a person like that out there, or there was. I don't think she's like that anymore. I hope not. I hope she didn't have a kid. But just the fact that you can just want a baby and not want and not have stability and not want the stability to be able to properly raise that child and still desire it. It's just like, it's mind-blowing.
I don't know if it's like a phase or something, but like maybe they're just so enamored with all the baby stuff that they think they want one and don't realize what all comes behind it.
That's probably exactly what it is, because I have a feeling... Well, I mean, like, it's kind of obvious, isn't it? With the way she can't handle herself, she has so much anxiety and can't handle pressure, right? A baby, that is, like, a huge responsibility. That's a ton of pressure. You gotta constantly watch, feed, take care of, deal with it screaming. Yeah. There's no way. It'd probably start screaming and she wouldn't be able to figure out what was wrong, and then just curl up in the corner of the room and start crying. Like, not be able to do anything. And then her mom would have to step in and take care of it for her. And then eventually, after she realized that she bit off more than she could chew, she'd probably start distancing herself from her child. This is, like, all speculation and stuff, but regardless, not ready for a kid. Not by any stretch of the imagination would she have ever been ready for a kid in that moment of time in her life. No way. And how would she end up getting a kid? I highly doubt that her mom would spend tons of money and buy, like, sperm at the sperm bank or go through the process of adopting a child. There's no way that she would get evaluated and they'd be like, oh yeah, you're a suitable mother. Single mom, works at a coffee bar for, like, 14 hours a week. Why doesn't
she just get a baby
fresh
alive?
Out of high school?
Why doesn't she just get a baby alive?
Was she just gonna get a boyfriend, get pregnant, and then dump him? Like, really? What was the plan?
I would have.
she didn't want to be in a relationship at all. She was just like, I just want a baby. I don't want a boyfriend.
I feel like I want to say that it would be safe to get just a dog and dress it up as a baby, but I still think a dog needs responsibilities too.
Yeah, God, I don't know. That was crazy to me. That was absolutely wild. It still blows my mind to this day. That was years ago.
The closest thing I've ever seen or heard, should I say, of something like that, I was watching a TikTok, okay? And it was one of those Reddit video reader guys, and they're like, the dumbest person I've ever encountered, it was a teacher, was a student, and they named him Kevin. It wasn't his real name, at least they don't think it was, because he couldn't even spell it. Everybody in the comment section thinks it was a product of,
incest?
Yes, it's a product of that. Because there's no way the entire family is like this, by the way. Like, they went on a trip to Washington D.C. and forgot their luggages. This kid would forget what classroom he's in. The mother would forget what school his son was in. And this kid, I don't know. This story, just, you'd have to watch the video because I don't remember all the details, but whew. I don't know how the entire family, my guy, the entire family was that forgetful and scatterbrained and all over the place.
Yeah. Well.
But, I already told this story, but I'm gonna shorten it for you. I think I told you about the Five Guys incident with this woman who was drinking on the job who cussed me out, right?
I don't remember hearing that.
Well, I worked at 2 different Five Guys, okay? I was relocated to the second one. Before I got relocated to the second Five Guys, a couple of the managers there used to locate to that Five Guys because it was in the district, and so we had a district manager that would hop between the two, and then we had a couple managers that went over there a couple of times. They told me to watch out for one particular employee, which was amusing because apparently they thought they knew they were going to get some problems with me. So I was like, oh, okay, this is nothing problem. I can't imagine they're that bad. I was wrong. I got relocated there, and I finally meet this woman. She keeps continuously telling everybody she's 42 years old or 43. I don't know. She's much older now because it was back in 2018. So she's a 40-something-year-old woman, and she supposedly drinks on the job, but nobody can really catch her for it unless they dig around in her drink. One day, this is freshly when I'm there because the Five Guys I was working previous to the one I was currently in at the time, they only had me on register. So I was learning all the new stuff at this new location. And I was on the register for the time being. I didn't know how to do fries. Everybody has a different task. There was like 4 or 5 people there. 2 of them left the building. It was the district manager and the back of the house person. They left to go do something. And so it left me, the cook, and the person on the fries there. I was told to wash the dishes, but when I went to the back to do that, the guy who was on cook duty was washing the dishes for me. So it left me standing there doing nothing. She was supposed to prep the fries so they'd be ready to cook for the day. So we're allowed to listen to our phone, listen to music on our phone, and be on our phone as long as we're doing our work. She goes to the back to talk to the guy who's washing the dishes, and I'm standing there zoning out in the front of the house. Eventually I come to and I realize the fries have been down in the grease for too long. I'm thinking to myself, I could pull them up, but I don't know how to do that, and I'm not gonna get myself hurt or mess something up because it's not my job. So I go to the back, and by the way, she's half deaf, so you gotta really scream her freaking name. Call her name like 3 times, and finally get her attention to go deal with the fries. Oh, I should probably explain to you she's ghetto. So there. Because her attitude explains her attitude. So she runs to the front to go deal with the fries, and I'm talking to the guy in the back. And she comes to the back, says, "Why didn't you pull them up? Why didn't you pull them up? We're supposed to be a team. You're supposed to have my back." And before I can answer, she does one of these things. "Oh, you didn't know how, whatever. And then goes to the front. And I already been dealing with her slight attitude throughout the entire time, so eventually I get mad. Because she always does that whole ask a question, then mocks the person, and then say whatever before walking away. And I was like, you know what? Why are you acting like that? Why are you acting like a child? It's not, I didn't know how to do those fries situations, and so we go at each other, and I'm pretty much telling her, quit acting like a child, grow up, it's not your fault, and you shouldn't have been on your phone in the first place.
Oh my God.
And I did not swear a single word I'm trying to like stay mature and just tell her how it is. Meanwhile, the guy who was washing the fries, he's a pretty big dude. He's like almost 400 pounds, big dude. And he's just standing there watching us fight, just to make sure we didn't get to like any physical fight. And eventually she calls me the B word. And I'm like, oh, so now we're just gonna go to swearing. I knew she was gonna eventually start swearing, but I was just trying to make her work up so that way she can look like the bad guy. So she was like,
Leanne played her.
I knew it was coming. I knew it. So she's like, all right, you. And I'm like, oh, so now you're going to swear words now. This entire time I've been mature and you're sitting here using the wrong words. And then that's where she started just cussing me out. And finally, the district manager walks in. I'm the one sitting here trying to be mature, and you're the one calling me the B word. And that's the manager the district manager, who is a really kind guy, always smiles, tells jokes and stories. You rarely see him in a serious or peed off mood. And when he heard me say that, he was like, all right, no, knock it off. This is over. We're done. And ever since then, she had been doing some petty, unnecessary, stupid crap to me or around me. So, like, she's trying to get me in trouble for the littlest things. So, apparently she had talked to one of the in-store managers, trying to get me into trouble and stuff, and the manager had told her to, if anything's going wrong, you need to, like, show proof of it, because I can't do anything unless there's proof. And so, we were out of either, like, cups or something, and I said, oh, I know where they are, and then went to the back to go get them. As I'm reaching for them, I turn back, and I see her recording or taking pictures of me. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you taking pictures of me? I didn't give you permission. She's like, I don't know. Why me? Why me? I don't know. I'm like, what the heck is her problem? And she walks away, constantly saying, why me? I don't know. I'm like, what? Eventually, after work, I send a text to the the in-store manager saying, hey, yeah, I'm not going to say any names here, but for some strange reason, one of the employees is trying to take pictures and record me. And she's like, oh, I already know who it is. And no, I did not tell her to do that. I told her to get proof of her, of anyone doing something she didn't like, not take pictures of something. So I'll get to that. She unfortunately never got fired while I was there. I did get a confirmation that she did get fired for something. I don't know what.
Yeah, at least there's that.
The good news is I was always on everybody's good side. Everybody knew that she was on some BS and that I was not at fault for any of the things that she did.
Yeah, so that's good at least. Dang, man.
It was annoying. Other than that, I really liked the job. I wish I could have been a manager there.
Yeah. Freaking wild.
But yeah,
why wouldn't they make you manager?
Well, I mean, it's not the fact that I couldn't get manager, it's just I didn't stay long enough to become manager. I had talked about wanting to be a manager, but then I decided to go for a different job, and that was the stupidest decision of my life.
Were you, like, not making enough money, though?
I was, like, $9 an hour, then they upgraded me to 10 to try to get me to stay, and I was, like, really tempted to, but the next job was $11 an hour, and I thought, oh, no taxes? That's making bank! No, don't do that, ever. Don't go for any job that doesn't have taxes put on their, final check.
Because you have to file the taxes yourself, right?
Yep. Luckily, I don't have anything on my name. I think I paid them back, but, that was stupid. Don't do that. I should have stayed at Five Guys.
Damn. Why don't you just go back?
Because I don't live in that state anymore. And a lot of people who used to work there don't work there anymore. Like,
damn.
The district manager is no longer the district manager. I don't know what he is, but somebody else is the district manager. And so far, I've heard they're not doing a good job.
Ah.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Almost every job that I've quit that's done me well has fallen apart.
They fell apart without you, Leanne. They needed you.
I knew I was the glue to their company.
You were the glue, man, and you left, and they fell apart.
Yeah, sucks. Thank you for doing this recording thing bit with me.
No problem.
It'd be cool to do this again. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you guys did watch, like and subscribe and all the sort.